operation be based on the Russian-owned radar base in Azerbaijan. I'm not sure the United States will go that far as making Russia an ally instead of a competitor, but that would have been a very, very nice decision. But I am not sure it's possible now. So the best Russia can hope for now is that the United States will postpone the deployment of ABM Shield in Eastern Europe.
So going back to finding a new solution for the START 1 agreement that's set to expire, there is the Strategic Offensive Reductions Treaty that's set to expire in 3 years. Will that suffice in the meantime? And if they don't get something signed by December, what will it mean for the two countries?
Well, right now there is a very high possibility a new agreement will be signed before the START 1 treaty expires on the 5th of December. But even if the treaty is not signed, an improved atmosphere in relations between Russia and the United States makes chances for signing a new agreement much better. And I think the whole world is interested in maintaining some system of arms control, because START 1 was the backbone of the system of arms control. If START 1 is dumped, it will be a very bad outcome for the whole world.
Do you think that President Dmitry Medvedev is sincere in wanting to start a new set of relations between Russia and the United States? And how do you think that Putin has an effect on that?
I think Medvedev is sincere, and basically I think that our Prime Minister Putin also wanted and wants an improved relationship with the West. To me, as a person living in Russia, there is no doubt that Russian elite wants to become a part of the Western elite. The whole problem is that the Western elite is not ready to accept Russian elite institutionally as its own part. There are nice relations between individual businessmen, individual politicians, even individual presidents, as it was the case with George Bush Younger and Putin. But there is very little institutional rapprochement, institutional engagement between Russia and Western countries. Certainly it is not Russia's fault. Russia wants to be a part of the West. But unfortunately, the whole policy of the West in the last at least 5 years was to sideline Russia, to make Russia redundant and an unimportant country. This is a very costly policy because building pipelines via Turkey, Azerbaijan, Georgia instead of Russia, and doing other things aimed at sidelining Russia costs the West an enormous amount of money, which could be, and this money could be put to a much better use.
What do you think some baby steps that can be taken initially in order to improve relations that have been ruined, as you say, in the last 5 years or so?
Well, I think the main issue is the attitude to the post-Soviet countries, countries like Georgia, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Armenia. If the West stops seeing Russia as the root of all evil in these countries, if it stops listening to the extremist nationalist elite in these countries, that would be a very good beginning for future development of relations between Russia and the United States and the European Union. Basically, both Russia and Western powers are interested in flourishing, stable, rich countries on Russia's borders. I don't believe that Russia is trying to rebuild the Soviet Union. This is simply untrue, and I know it because I live in Russia and I see what people want and how people feel about it. What Russia wants is not to have hostile regimes in these countries, and here the West can help a lot. Right now, unfortunately, the policy of the West is very counterproductive. Their policy is the more hostile some regime is to Russia, the better its chances for joining the European Union or getting economic aid from the West.
Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the state of relations between Russia and Afghanistan. What can you add and tell us about that?
Well, Russia always said that it can help a lot in rebuilding Afghanistan, and Russia is interested in stabilization of Afghanistan more than any other country. Maybe only Uzbekistan and other Central Asian states are interested more. And Russia has a lot of expertise in Afghanistan because for 10 years we were in Afghanistan. For 10 years, during these 10 years, Afghans and Russians have been cooperating pretty well economically. Russia was still an occupying power, but since we are very close, our mentality is much closer to the Afghan mentality than the mentality of, say, Americans or Germans. So when the Western powers moved into Afghanistan, Russia suggested that instead of bringing to Afghanistan super modern technologies, the West could just spend a little money on reviving some of the old Soviet projects there. The aim was to give jobs to the Afghans. Afghans cannot operate sophisticated computers, but they are very good at working on some Soviet and Russian equipment that we have there. But unfortunately, the West preferred to go it all alone, and lots of money were just wasted in Afghanistan. So if Russian expertise is accepted, if we're listened to a little bit more, I think that would be better for both the West, Afghanistan, Turkey, and ultimately for Russia.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the shared interests in the region between Russia and the United States as well is defeating terrorism. What is Russia willing to do in terms of aiding the United States' fight against the Taliban?
Well, Russia was a very important ally of the United States in crushing the Taliban in 2001, 2002. Actually, Russia had been arming and equipping the Northern Alliance for many years, and Northern Alliance was the key factor in defeating Taliban. So there is no doubt that Russia is not interested in Taliban's growth in Afghanistan. And here, the United States and Russia have lots of shared interests. The whole problem is that the United States and the European Union, they do not view Russia as an ally. And here we have these strange moves of building pipelines via Central Asian states, via Caspian Sea and via Caucasus, very costly projects whose only aim is political. That aim is to bypass Russia. So obviously when Russia sees these moves, Russia gets a little bit suspicious and apprehensive. And that was the reason why Russia wanted American bases removed, or at least their importance reduced in the Central Asian states. Now that the relations between Russia and the United States show some signs of improvement, immediately Russia started helping the United States again. We hear about Russia giving its airspace to American planes, delivering military goods and civilian equipment to Afghanistan. Russia doesn't insist anymore on the removal of American bases from Kyrgyzstan. I mean, officially, Russia never insisted on it, but obviously Russia was a little bit apprehensive. So I think as relations improve, we can see better cooperation in Afghanistan.